evil. A very evil.
About as evil as the teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh!
You mean the Dean of Students?
Yeah, you mean the Dean of Students, first of all, but also second of all. Transition.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before we even dive in, I feel like we should make Joe attempt to, while battling, give us a synopsis of the film.
Ooh, yes. The
Oh,
ultimate
man.
This is the volume on the game before you do it, too, just so you're extra distracted.
No. I'm not going to do that. This is actually a hard movie to summarize, because there are 3 plots, I think?
There's at least 2.
Like, there's
I would say there are 3 plots, yes.
But I think 3 is fair, because you also have the Dean of Students plot as well, so that is separate. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
All intersect.
There's... You know, Ferris is, like, the general story of Ferris, which is probably... I don't even know if that's it's the most, like, ridiculous, but I don't know if it's actually the most interesting part of the movie. Like, the other characters doing their stuff might actually be more interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, there's Ferris's thing, which is that oh no, he's sick, he's dying, except he's not actually sick, he's just faking it because he doesn't want to go to school because he's got a test, and also he wants to spend time with his friends, essentially. And so worst performance of his life, pretending to be sick. Yes, exactly. So, you know, he pretends to be...
his career.
Yes, I think that's actually what he does say of his career, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he pretends to be sick, he gets his parents to go to work, his sister doesn't buy it, but she can't do anything to stop it. He convinces his friend, Cameron, right?
Yep.
Cameron to come because Cameron has a car and Ferris doesn't, to convinces Cameron to come over so that he can use his car, essentially, to do all the things he wants to do that day. He also gets his girlfriend Sloane out of school by faking a dead grandmother call from her quote-unquote father. And then they go, let's see, what all the stuff I know they go to the Sears Tower, right?
I think that's where they go first, yeah.
Yeah, they go to the Sears.
They lean against the window and look down
Yep.
at Chicago.
Go to the Sears Tower, and then they go to a really fancy restaurant where he pretends to be the Sausage King of Chicago.
Yep.
And they go to a baseball game, and then they go to a parade where Ferris gets up on a float and is dancing around and being ridiculous, and somehow doesn't get caught by any of the people who care. And also, by the way, they had stolen the Cameron's dad's Ferrari for this, and so we get scenes like of the people who are supposed to be taking care of the Ferrari, like driving it around town. Right. An excellent slow-mo shot of them going over a hill that's just super iconic and has been replicated 100 times since. But then they finally manage to get... Oh no, Cameron freaks out because he sees how many miles are on the car. They try to take him off. It doesn't work. He like kicks the car off of the cliff that the house is built on, so it's completely destroyed. I think he went catatonic before that, but then he's like recovered. He goes crazy. He's like, I'm gonna stand up to my dad. And then Ferris realizes that he needs to get home before his parents realizes he's gone. And so we get him running back to the house where he intersects with the other plot lines. One of the other plot lines is Dean of Students Ed Rooney, who knows that Ferris is up to shenanigans, and hold on, I want to read this dialogue. Okay, what's he gonna give me? Nothing. He gives me nothing.
Nice.
Oh no, okay, there we go. Now he gives me something. He gave me a technical machine. Cool. All right. So, Ed Rooney knows that Ferris Bueller has shenanigans, and he's like, I'm not gonna put up with your shenanigans. And so he keeps trying to catch Bueller. He sees the number of absences, but then Ferris like hacks the computer to make it so that he doesn't actually have that number on his computer. And then he gets a call from the person saying, "Oh, this is Sloane's dad. Her grandma died," and he's like, this is obviously a fake call. And then Ferris calls to let him know that he's sick, as Edward Rooney was cursing out the guy on the phone. He's like, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. And then you find out that it's Cameron making the fake call for Ferris. And And so then he figures out that Ferris Bueller's the one that picked her up, and let's see, what else do we got? Ferris picks her up, and then he goes to Ferris's house to like try to catch him not being there, I guess is the thought. And he tries to get in, doesn't work. He like loses a shoe in the mud and gets it covered, and then gets soaked with a hose, and then he gets attacked by the dog, and then he uses flowers to knock the dog unconscious, and then finally is able to break into the house when Ferris's sister comes home, which we also have Ferris's sister who is dealing with the fact that like she keeps running into things of like, save Ferris, Ferris is dying, would you like to raise money to buy Ferris a new kidney, would you like all of this kind of stuff, as she's increasingly more frustrated before she finally just leaves school. And then let's see, so they run into each other at the house, and she knocks him unconscious, calls the police, gets picked up for making a quote-unquote phony police call, but then I'll go back to Rooney's story. He finally wakes up, his car has gotten towed, he's gotten attacked multiple times, he gets attacked by the dog again, but he finally catches Ferris as Ferris like runs up, and because he's stolen the key to the back door, which he finally figured out where the key was, I guess. And then the sister decides to cover for him, because that's the conclusion of her story. Like, when she was at the police station for making a phony police call, she makes out with Charlie Sheen, and that makes her not hate her brother anymore. So then she covers for him when he gets home, and everything works out for him. I think that's all of the main things going on there. That was not a good synopsis at all, but also I'm trying to play Pokemon at the same time, so...
Considering the circumstances, Joseph, I think we should allow it. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Very detailed,
Horrible.
very nice.
Honorable?
Let's see Paul Allen's synopsis. No, wait, that's another movie that takes place in the 80s. Never mind.
Oh. When was this made? When was Ferris Bueller?
86.
86, okay. The reason I was wondering is because I was watching, yes, I'll participate with the Pokemon in my party. Okay. I think she's through the door on the right. I said, because I was watching, Stranger Things Season 2, and that season is very obviously in 84 specifically, because you keep seeing things for the election of 84 all over the place, which I thought was kind of weird. I forgot, I never seen that before in a TV show or a movie where they're like obviously showing the signage from an election.
But I did it recently with, what is it? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark stands out, which is ironically enough another kind of period one, except it's for the late 60s in this one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
so
that's a trend now.
So because of that, I was wondering, okay, like what of the 80s movies that we have talked about so far had come out by the time the show is taking place at, right? Yeah. So like, Back to the Future wouldn't have come out because I'm assuming it actually came out in 85, which is like the year that it talks about it being in the movie.
Right.
So, and then Ferris Bueller wouldn't have come out because that's 86. But Terminator definitely came out because they talk about that. They don't talk about that, but that's one of the movies that's playing at the movie theater when they drive by. So,
right, and obviously Ghostbusters, that's 84, so that they obviously dress up as them. Halloween, they have the whole Halloween episode and all that.
Yes. Yep. Where nobody wears costumes.
You feel so bad for him too.
Yeah.
That will lead to our season 2 episode.
Yes. Sorry, we're getting off track. Ferris Bueller.
We're good. Where is it? Let me see if I can get my notes pulled up here. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah.
Wait, did I beat that guy that easy?
It's just an excellent film that handles breaking the fourth wall beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there is never any indication that Ferris, like the stuff that Ferris says, is heard by other people, right?
Right.
Because there's times where he's talking and the other characters are right there and they don't react to what he's saying, if I remember correctly.
Right, like I think one good example is like when he's in the bathroom washing his hands and he's looking at us through the mirror, I think, and there's a person in there. Well, I guess it's just keeping watch over the bathroom or something.
No,
he's not really reacting.
That's a thing that they used to do.
I was thinking of the first time where we hear the tagline of the movie.
Right.
The life goes by pretty quick, so you got to slow down and appreciate it, or however it's phrased. I can't remember the exact line.
It goes by pretty fast. You gotta stop a little bit before it'll pass you by, I think.
Yeah, I think that's closer. I don't think that's quite right still, but I think that's closer than mine.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant, Joseph, but I was trying to think of a scene where he was doing his monologue and someone else is in the room. Like, I think at the restaurant when he's in the bathroom, that's the only other time there's someone else in frame, and he's not talking to them, he's talking to the camera, and they're just ignoring it.
There is a time where, after they realize that the Ferrari has so many miles on it, and Cameron is, like, catatonic and Sloane is trying to wake him up.
Yes, that's right.
He turns to the camera, and you can still see them, like, they're in frame, but they're out of focus behind him.
Yes, that's right.
And, you know, Cameron is catatonic, but Sloane isn't, so she would hear and understand.
Yes.
But yeah, I think, also, the thing in the bathroom is actually an interesting thing, because that is something that people used to do. Like, it used to be that at fancy establishments, you would have someone in the bathroom who would, like, hand you your towels or whatever, and give you mints and things like that, and you would tip them, like Ferris does in the show. Just like how there used to be people in elevators that would push the buttons for you, and there used to be people at gas stations that would fill your car for you. Right. And all that stuff. So these are things that we have. Back in my you young whippersnappers. Yeah, you young whippersnappers wouldn't remember. You people who were born in the 21st century instead of the 20th.
Hey, I was born in the 20th century. Don't forget.
Yeah, 99 doesn't count.
I think it counts because there is still a 9 in it.
We grant you a seat on this council, but we do not. We will give you a seat on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
I'll humbly accept.
This is outrageous, bro. It's completely
unfair.
This is unradical.
This is totally unradical, bro. Oh, what are 90s surfer skater bros now?
Joseph is unleashing his inner 90s Keanu on you.
Whoa.
Bro.
That's all I got.
Bro.
That's all I got. No way.
Wow. I gotta check to see how many rounds there are in this game, in this Colosseum. You guys keep talking while I do that.
Sure.
There's gotta be less rounds in the rounds of the super cool trivia game we're gonna get to, but before that, what is it? You know, we usually do like favorite things. What is it, Jack? Why don't you start us off? We were thinking about, you know, we mentioned a couple different things, like, you know, a good example of, you know, the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Was it breaking aspect of the film? But it's like, you know, what's another good scene that always sticks out to you?
Sure. I think this is probably only the second time I've seen it, but it still holds up extremely well. Like I already said, it's an excellent film. It's one of those that I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's one of those where the entire thing to me just sticks out. It's just how well everything fits together. Specific scenes, not as much. I mean, there are scenes that are iconic, but as far as favorites, I do like the scene where Cameron does the voice when he's talking to Rooney. That's very funny. Pretending to be Sloane's dad. And, of course, Rooney thinks he's finally caught them, and then he realizes what a grave mistake he has made. Or so he thinks.
Or so he thinks. Yep.
But the big thing that I just love about this film is the casting. Like, Matthew Broderick especially. It's hard to think about anybody else nailing that role, because it would have been very easy for a character like Ferris if done wrong, come off as a jerk. But Broderick makes him very likable and charming, and you're totally rooting for him the entire time.
Yeah.
So he was just a blast, and the chemistry between him, Cameron, and Sloan was just a ton of fun. And I think John Hughes said when make this that this film was a love letter to Chicago, and I definitely think it worked because I legit want to take a trip to Chicago now after watching this.
Yeah, but 1980s Chicago, not modern Chicago.
Fair.
Lost to time, 1980 Chicago.
A land that no longer exists.
Yes, a land before time.
Oh, that's cute. That's
And
cute.
that time being the presidency of Ronald Reagan. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another good thing. Just the setting, it is very. There's just that reminds me just like the overall setting, yes, but like all of the sets, they're just so busy in a good way. In a good way, of course. It's like, what is it? Ferris's room in particular is just dripping with its own character, which again, just it reflects, it helps reflect what kind of person Ferris is. But then you got like, what is it? I never can remember his name. Dean of Students' office. It's just there's a lot going on there too.
Mm-hmm.
He's very gray except for like one plant, maybe. It's just like that one little bit of life.
Which that one plant that he has is probably like. Would they have had plastic plants back then? Would it be
Yes, definitely.
It's like a fake plastic plant. Yeah. Just
big in the 60s.
Yeah, I think Ferris's room reflects because he's got like the British flag up there, and he's got a bunch of other posters and things like that all kind of indicate this is a person who doesn't want to just be here. This is a person who wants to get out and do things. This is not a person who's content to just it seems like he's plastered this room full of stuff because he isn't allowed to go anywhere else where he could actually do the things he wants to do. That's the impression that comes across to me. And then Rooney's room is very much like he is the kind of person where everything has to be perfectly neat and perfectly bland, and he hates anything that's even mildly personality-wise, which of course makes sense for him to be the antagonist of Ferris.
Yep, I agree. He makes for a very fun antagonist.
And I do think, Jack, you said it's hard to pick. There are iconic scenes, but it's hard to pick a favorite moment in this movie because everything stands out. And I think that it's also true on the other hand, where I actually don't think this movie works if you take anything out of it. Like, if you remove any piece of this movie, I don't think that movie works. It's still funny, but I feel like it all wraps back up in on itself.
Yeah.
Right, like the entire scene, the arc, Jeannie Bueller, right? Jeannie's her name?
Jeannie. Yep, his sister. That's right.
Her arc throughout the movie has to be completely there so that she gets to the point at the end where she helps her brother out. Like she's now inside the joke of telling Ferris is dying. It's so tragic thing as opposed to getting annoyed by it. Like, so you need her entire arc there present on screen, or else it doesn't feel believable. You also. You need to see Rooney go through all of this stuff where he's constantly getting kicked in the teeth and he's about to win and he's getting kicked in the teeth again. One time literally getting kicked in the teeth. So then he finally gets to the point where he's like, after going through all of this, I've won. I've got the key. Ferris can't get in. I have won. And then you see the sister turn around and help. And then it's like, it's the one last thing, and then there's the dog who attacks him, and then on the third plot line of all of these close calls that Ferris has, he keeps having near miss after near miss, and they always miss in just such a way where it doesn't have impact on his ability to actually keep doing things, and that all culminates, right? So like all three of these plot lines have to work together to the same conclusion, and if you remove any of the scenes from before that, it doesn't work as well, I think.
Yep.
It's like, it'd still be funny. You still have all the same jokes, except minus the jokes that you miss from the scene you remove, but I don't think it lands as well, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
agree
very
with that.
deliberate in terms of sequencing and the pacing too. It's like, it gets the chef's kiss. Oh, very nice.
Yep. Well, it's another thing, pacing, because it cycles between those plot lines. Like, whenever one of them is whenever you would start to get bored with one of the things, it never lets you get to that point. You're never starting to get bored before it's already switched over to another character and keeping you engaged again.
Yep.
At least for me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some of these even younger Zoomers than myself, you don't have the attention span to put up with these things.
I don't know. Being a late Zoomer myself, I gotta say it was alright.
It was alright, just alright.
You know, just alright, I guess. I only had to do 2 things while I was watching it.
Oh, only 2 things.
Only 2
Yes,
things.
yes.
To satisfy your OCD.
A
Or not
third
OCD,
of my
ADHD.
attention is all it was worth. No. Honestly, I think I would certainly hope, people are able to look past the fact that it's a air quote older movie to be able to see the merit. And plus, there's been some slower burn comedies out there that have come out later. I'd say probably not anything from the 2000s, but you know.
Mm-hmm. I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a slow burn, right? Because like we.
Oh no, of course not. But I
we-
guess by Zoomer stereotypical Zoomer standards.
Well, yeah, by 3-minute TikTok video standards, it's a slow burn, but
Sure.
that's not a movie then. I mean, the opening scene, if you don't know what's going on, it's like, okay, why do we care about this kid who's sick? Like, what's the point here? Because there's no framing. It's just him lying in bed being sick, right? And then like, but immediately after you get they bought it, and then Ferris basically explains the entire plot to us in that first scene, right? He tells you what the whole point of the movie is going to be about right there.
Right. Yep, and pretty much immediately once he says they bought it, the film just starts, kicks into high gear, and pretty much doesn't stop till the end of the movie.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking about how it would be interesting, the difference between someone on their first versus all subsequent watches, because their first watch you keep thinking, I would imagine someone would keep thinking, oh, he's going to get caught. This is the time he's going to get caught. He's gone too far this time, he's going to get caught. And you have the tension, you're on the edge of your seat, like, oh, is he going to be able to pull out of this? How is he going to make it work? And then on subsequent viewings, you could just enjoy the sheer chicanery of it, the sheer silliness of, he was in the bathroom talking to the audience, and his dad walks out the second after he leaves. Because they were the same restaurant, and they're in stopped traffic, and they just happen to be in the 2 cars that are next to each other. Like,
Yes.
all that nonsense, like, you can just appreciate it at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that, because I think you may have heard this. Joseph was asking how many times I've seen it. I think this was only the second time I saw it, so I remember liking it the first time, but this time it was just a blast because I already knew what happened, but just getting to soak it all in and enjoy it for what it is at this point now, not without all the surprises. It was still just as fun, and I think that really just goes to show this is the film that holds up on rewatches. So.
Yep. Actually, let's see, this would be the first time I watched this movie was in was it middle school or high school? We watched the clean version, that it's edited out all the swear words, and we watched it across I think as a last week of school kind of thing. It was a fun activity. We had pizza and stuff like that, and we watched 45 minutes of it at a time in each class. which is not a good way to watch this movie, by the way.
No.
Chopped to pieces, where you don't get the satisfying, like, run-through of everything, and also with it poorly edited over to remove all of the not safe for school content. Like, I'm not saying that stuff should be there. I'm saying, like, having it poorly edited out is not a good way of watching it.
Right.
So, but after you're over that first hurdle, it's great. I think I've watched it maybe one other time all the way through before this time, so 3 times total then.
Nice.
The complete experience is being just a little better, huh?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Because, let me tell you, for those of you who were homeschooled and did not have a public school education where you watched movies in class, that is the worst way to watch a movie. There is no... you could take the most interesting, most entertaining movie, and if you have to watch it in 45-minute chunks separated over several days, it's not a good movie anymore. There are no movies that are good. Now, if you were watching a TV show where it's 45-minute episodes and you're watching it over several days, fine, that's great. You can do that. Don't do that to a movie. Please don't.
I was about to say, this is anything but episodic.
Yeah, no. How could I lose to someone so shady? That's a fair question. That's a fair question, person. I just... Cotton Ball's evolving! This is not a drill! This is not a drill! Look at that. Look at that majestic bird thing.
If Cotton Ball doesn't turn into a legit Cotton Ball, I riot.
I mean, that's its final evolution. That's its final stage. It looks like a cotton ball to me. Like, looks like a cotton ball with a head and feet. Ooh, dragon breath. Heck yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys had heard much about the theories behind this film, but I know the main one that people had talked about was the whole one on Ferris Bueller is Cameron's imaginary friend, and I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts were on that theory about how likely it is, whether or not that holds up, or it falls flat.
How does Sloane fit into this then?
See, that's my thought. It's like, that doesn't... If it was... I think they could have pulled it off if they had wanted to. But the only way it works is if Cameron is making all the choices and Ferris is basically just there along for the ride kind of thing.
Yeah. There are definitely... There are things that Ferris does, like calling... Like, he has to make the second call, right? To the...
right.
Not the principal's... Dean of Students is what his position is, right? Mm-hmm. So, he has to make the second call. Cameron can't do that by himself. So, yeah, I don't know how else that works. Also, Ferris drives most of the time.
Right. No, that was kind of the big thing for me. It's like, so how does he... And Sloane was also a big thing as well. Just like, so many things are actually done by Ferris, where it's like, it doesn't really work super well. Again, if he was a side character and Cameron was the main character and it revolved around him more, and again, Ferris was not as active in his role, sure, but the film very clearly, I think, rules against that, was my opinion. But that is a popular theory.
Yeah. The only way it makes sense is if Cameron is, like, you have to actually be more ridiculous, because you'd have to imagine that Cameron is, like, telepathic and telekinetic, and so he's making things happen around him without realizing it, and he created the imaginary character of Ferris and Sloane, both of them, in order to, like, compensate for his psychic abilities. That's the only way that would even make sense, which is that's a more ridiculous explanation than Ferris is just an incredibly lucky, ridiculous person.
Right. I feel like you're really pushing it at that point if you're trying to do that, so.
Yeah. I mean, I love fan theories, so don't get me wrong. It's great, but also probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is like on the tier of like all of your childhood cartoons are actually the dying dreams of the creator, or something like, you know.
Yeah, no.
Like that.
It's like all of all of Pokemon is the Pokemon anime is Ash is actually in a coma, and he's hallucinating all of these characters, and they all represent different parts of his psyche. That's a theory that's been around since the 90s, and it still isn't any less ridiculous. So, actually, probably not 90s, probably early 2000s. Let's be more honest. Yeah, and so no, we don't believe that Ferris Bueller is a figment of Cameron's imagination. Let's see if you can sneak a win by me. Well, you're so old man. I think it won't be that difficult.
Careful, he might pull a Master Roshi. He is a fun old man, after all.
And use my power against me?
Yeah. Isn't that what he does?
Yeah, Master Roshi's... Master Roshi's...
Pokemans.
I'm pretty sure that Master Roshi's technique is that he, like, he has a way to reverse people, so, like, he's as strong as the person he's fighting. I don't know. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a person who I have cultural understanding of Dragon Ball Z.
I don't know. You sound like a weeb to me.
You got a problem with that?
Fight. Are there any other game? I'm sorry. Are there any other game theories about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Matt?
But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory.
Get out of here, Matt Pat. We're not paying you royalties.
I've actually, playing this game, playing Pokemon Colosseum has given me theory ideas, and I have said on this stream that, like, I have said, Matt Pat, please do a video on why this is this way and why this is this way.
Nice.
Because almost everybody in this universe, almost everyone in the region that this game takes place in is involved in organized crime in some way.
Oh, fantastic.
I would guess at least 60 to 75% of the people you meet are involved in organized crime to some degree.
Alright.
Which begs the question, how in the heck does their economy and everything function?
Crime.
Crime, yes, of course. The universal answer.
What do you mean we don't have any businesses to extort?
They all start building businesses so that they can steal from each other.
It's a self-perpetuating
They've gotten that
system.
bored.
Unassailable.
They've driven all of the honest businessmen out, so they have to build businesses in order to steal from each other so they have something to do. But then the businesses that they make are more profitable than stealing from each other, and so they all just become honest businessmen, but with a fake black market stealing from each other organized crime thing going on.
Isn't that the circle of life? And then other people come in and steal their businesses and just...
Yeah. They're like, hold on, we're the criminals here, stop trying to steal from us, we're the criminals, stop stealing from us. And they're like, you guys are just... You're running a bakery. How does that make you a criminal? Like, this is a crime bakery.
Hey, you don't understand. These things are so good, they might as well be illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Leave the canoe.
to make a really bad tangent back on the Ferris Bueller.
Yes. Organized through organized crime.
Yes, because that's another theory of Ferris Bueller that I did not talk about, have not heard. But good thoughts, Joseph. Appreciate you bringing that up. Never realized how much the two click. So that's cool.
I'm sorry. I zoned out a little there. I was actually watching the Pokemon fight. Which two?
You're not supposed to be watching the stream while we're on the stream.
I mean, if you guys want to commentate on what's happening here.
How else am I gonna see the Pokemans?
Them
Don't kids like
Pokemon.
Pokemans?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, the kids like Pokemans. Also, this Wooper is the most annoying thing that I've ever fought.
The Wooper.
Is he whooping you?
Yes, he is whooping me. Look at this. He can't even hit me that much, but the quick attack doesn't do that much damage, and I tried to hit him with Surf, and he absorbed all of it instead of taking hits.
Nice.
Like, because he has Water Absorb. So now I gotta hit him with a weaker attack. This is frustrating, let me tell you.
Whoop whoop.
Please,
Water ground types. There are two things that this team is weak against. These two leads, the Raikou and Suicune that I have, are weak to precisely two things, and that is electric types. No, excuse me, three things: electric types, grass types, and specifically water ground types. Because Raikou can take out any other water type, but water ground type, and Suicune can take out any other ground types, but water ground types is a stupid combination. So,
Nice.
this frustrates the man,
Oh, I'm sure.
as you can tell.
Did you guys know who did the dance choreography for the parade scene?
No, who?
No, it is with the knowledge.
Kenny Ortega of High School Musical fame, and also Joe's favorite films, the Descendants trilogy.
Oh,
There we go.
no. Shoot, he must have been like 12. Cause
Yeah, was he a newborn and they immediately hired him to do the choreography?
I'm convinced Kenny Ortega is immortal and he will never die as long as there is a musical to be made direct to Disney Channel.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
well, that's also true. His
Kenny
disembodied
Ortega,
spirit,
musical necromancer.
his disembodied spirit just like hovers around the Disney studio, and then whenever they're thinking about a new movie to make and nobody has an idea to pitch, like immediately he possesses someone and tells them to make a direct-to-TV Disney musical,
Of course.
and then takes over their body so that he could be the choreography and everything person.
Yes.
And director if possible, but at least to choreography.
So he is 72, I think.
Okay, he's a lot older than I thought, actually. I thought he was in his 50s.
Yeah, because that's why I made the joke, because he would be, it was 80, in 86, excuse me, that would have been 40 years ago, right? Maybe,
Yeah.
kind of, thereabouts. Close enough. Good grief. So he would have been 30, so this is throwing off my perception of time. I don't
Time
like this.
hurts my mind!
Ah! So it's the picture of the couple where like the husband's doing this and the girlfriend comes up and says, "Honey, what's wrong?" And then he says, "Kenny Ortega is 70 years old," and then it's both of them doing this. Ah!
Confused math faces. Yes.
Confused math faces. I like it.
So
right.
I thought that was a nice touch there because he's known for his choreography. So
Yes,
that's
yes, he
probably why
is.
the scene was so fun.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
No surprises here.
And this probably wouldn't surprise you either, but I thought was very cool. It was this film that gave the Kevin Feige the idea to put post-credit and end-credit scenes at the end of Marvel films.
That does not surprise me either. Like,
It is funny though that was it this of all the cultural impacts this film has had to the point where it's it's put in like the significant film registry in the Library of Congress, right?
Yep.
Of all the things it had an impact on, Marvel superhero movies is one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Fair, yeah. I mean, it's. Did she say left or right?
Red or blue?
We're going left because I feel like it.
You itch.
This is the last set of battles for this stadium, which honestly I should have done these battles a long time ago. I'm slightly over leveled for them, and also these are like, if you've noticed, these are all weak baby Pokemon. This man here is not about to lose. Are you talking about me? 'Cause this man here is not about to lose.
Oh!
The Guy Harrell. Oh man, look at those heavy hitters we've got there. We've got a goldfish and a caterpillar. Whew.
These are my pets. I found them in the yard. Is that a lion?
Is that a saber-toothed cat? Yes, it is.
Can I go get like a groundhog or something to add to my team?
No, you're going swimming, kid.
Your Honor, death.
You have elected the way of pain. Oh man.
Well, we're going to get to trivia here in a minute. Before we do, I had a couple questions for you guys, wondering what your guys' thoughts are. First off, because I think I understand why, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Why did, at the end there, Jeannie save Ferris?
Why did she save Ferris?
So, like, you know, why did she save him from getting punished by Rooney?
Okay.
A combination of 80s cliche and kind of hey, maybe it is okay to let loose a little, kind of from, what is it, Kissing Charlie Sheen? I don't know. It was kind of up, not up in the air, but I guess open to interpretation.
I gotcha.
Well, I mean, okay. Obviously, there's some 80s trope or campiness, or however you want to phrase that, but I'm assuming that Jack wants an in-universe reason, and I think
that was my attempt. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say this is a lady. That's a little girl. That is not a lady.
That's a woman.
Anyway, oh, here are some actually not terrible Pokemon. I mean, they're still babies, but if they were adults, they'd be not terrible.
If I didn't have to beat up these children, I'd be impressed.
If I didn't have to beat up these children, hold on, that's a clip right there. Hold on. Actually, I want to do a thing. I need to do copy. There we go. Boom. So I would say the reason is because there's two reasons. One is at that exact moment when she had the opportunity, she realized that she cared more. There's actually three reasons. One is at the moment she realized she cared more about helping her brother than she cared about like catching her brother doing something wrong. Like there's a familial thing, right? She's like, oh, I actually do love my brother, and I would like to help him out. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, the person that would catch him is Edward Rooney, and she now realizes that that's the guy who had been in the house, and she's like, okay, so I can stick it to him. Right. So there's that element. And the third element is, I do think that something about, I don't know if it's literally just making out with Charlie Sheen or some element of that, where it realized that she could have more fun if she was inside the joke playing along than if she is inside the joke fighting against it, right? Because she, like, obviously she knows that Ferris isn't sick, and so she's trying to fight against everyone thinking he's sick. But she realizes, like, if she knows that it's not real, but if she plays along, she can have more fun than trying to fight against it. So I think it's all three of those things working together.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think I would pretty much say the same thing. The only other thing I could think of is the only other thing that I think could be possible would be if she helped Ferris, saved him from Rooney, then that would be, he'd basically owe her a favor. She'd have some sort of leverage, if you will.
That's also fair, yeah. It could be all four. Could be a little bit of manipulation there as well.
That last part is kind of in line with her, I don't know, edgy. I suppose not edgy, just sort of like, I don't know, snarky demeanor? Well, not demeanor, but yeah. You get what I mean.
Sassy, I don't know.
Yes, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair, too.
this is normally something we save for our bites, but I guess it's worth asking. Did the characters learn anything?
That's the whole jazz there.
I mean, Cameron learned something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Really big for Cameron.
Sloane didn't learn anything because she's just kind of like going along with Ferris. She's like,
I don't think Ferris really learned anything.
No, Ferris. Well, Ferris didn't need to learn anything, right? His life is already perfect.
Right. Rooney didn't
Sloane
really learn anything. We already basically talked about Jeannie learned.
Yes.
She had an arc. The Cameron was definitely the big one. Just being too scared and just too afraid of his parents until he finally just stands up and is like, "Hey, I'm more important than your stupid car."
Yeah, which, I mean, on the one hand, kids, Background Noise does not condone pushing your dad's Ferrari off a cliff. On the one hand.
Definitely.
On the other hand,
Background Noise will pursue physical violence against you, actually.
On the other hand, if your dad cares more about if you think that your dad cares more about his Ferrari than he does about you, that's a problem. That's not a good thing. Even if it's not true, if you think that it's true, if there's a pattern of behavior that would make you think that it's true, that's also not good.
Right. And if you want that Ferrari to disappear, we can make that happen. You let us know. We will make it disappear, and then with that gone, hopefully they'll pay more attention to you.
If you have the means, I highly recommend it as a murder travel.
Exactly. But yeah, do you guys have anything else before we get to trivia?
Let's see. We talked about. I mean, have we talked about the comedy in general of it? I mean, we've talked about like the fourth wall breaks. We've talked about how the plot lines work together. But have we talked about just even like the moment to moment? It's a very funny movie, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that just goes along with like the pacing and all that. Just the comedy is very consistent. There might have been a couple laugh out loud moments, but overall, it was very charming, very lighthearted, and the most of the comedy hit. It wasn't. None of it felt to me cheap.
Oops. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. First of all, there are no. There are no DreamWorks. These are children's movies jokes.
Right.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The fart joke.
Yeah, none of that kind of nonsense.
I landed in poison ivy, or something.
No,
Yeah, something on that level.
None of that nonsense. Yeah,
Right.
Like all of the jokes are intended for adults. I think can't think of anything contradicting that off the top of my head.
Well, there's a difference between a kid's film and a family film. This definitely seems much closer to a family film than a kid's film.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Although, well, again, this is something we've talked about before, about the observation that cinematography censorship standards are different between the 80s and now on what does and does not, what is and is not allowed to pass.
Right, because the language in this would definitely not pass in a PG film.
No, not
today.
No,
they'd have to hit it with the heavy editing bat to get it on like Cartoon Network or something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The good old PG-13. No, I would not like to enter another challenge. I already beat it.
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's a good old PG-13 rating. I think technically is where this would be at now, right?
That's my guess. Yeah. So.
All right, you want to hit us with those trivias?
I'm ready to hit you guys some trivia. So here's how it's gonna work. All right, Sparky. Here's the deal. We have 5 questions, all of them multiple choice, and it's gonna be, pretty much how we do it normally. You'll both get a chance to answer, and then I will tell you who is correct. Obviously, whoever has the most correct answers wins. So, first question.
Wait, hold on. How do we buzz in?
Say Buzz.
That's I don't know. I think we can do better than that. We've gone the whole
But
thing
fine,
without
you have to say
doing
Bueller 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Bueller. Bueller. Bueller.
Bueller.
My sister's boyfriend's sister's brother's nephew's friend from high school said that she. I can't remember how it actually goes. It just made.
And what does that make us? Absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah! Thank you for understanding my twisted reference, my twisted metaphor. Also, wait, hold on. Sidetrack. Was Spaceballs also an '80s movie?
It was.
Yes.
Okay. Which means, interestingly enough, Spaceballs would have been before the prequels.
It's
which
true.
is probably for the best.
I have still actually never seen Spaceballs.
Yes.
Well, I know what we're gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you're gonna watch Spaceballs this week, and we're gonna talk about it next week. Same time, same channel.
Gosh.
Nice.
I have very little interest in watching it, but I guess I can.
Oh, come! It's so okay. You need to come over. We need to have a watch party,
There we go.
and we watch it together. It's probably. I mean, it's an excellent. Although it's been a while. It's actually been at least 5 years, I think, since the last time I watched it. But the last time I watched it, I remember it being an excellent comedy experience. But it is also definitely better with friends. Like, it's definitely better with people who can see the references that they're making and understand it and be like, oh, they're doing the thing, you know?
That's fair.
It's also just so stupid in the best way.
Yes, it is the best kind of stupid. Okay, we need to
Alrighty here. So first
Hold on.
question.
Hold on, we need to do an update. We need to do an update on my stream thing.
But we'll buzz in with but a single Bueller.
41
To save time.
and 33. Hold on. Okay, so we need...
There's someone else here. I see them now.
Oh no.
Someone else is here? Someone's joined us?
Make yourself known, person.
Okay, I
Don't
have
scare 'em off,
cleared...
The chat's very lonely. It's only Cotton Ball Joe.
Yes. That's it.
Right now it says I have... Okay, there we go. Alright, I had to update to increase... Because we've purified 2 Pokemon and we've cleared one of our 4 Colosseums. So I had to show that off. And now we're going to go into the Pyrite Colosseum, where the shady... Where one of the shady gangster Colosseums. There's Phoenix Stadium, which is where all the normal people hang out, where I was fighting like teachers and students and things like that. Now we're going to Pyrite Coliseum, where like the kind of shady people, but still like the look at the stadium. Look at the interior of the stadium. We've got gray rusted paneling with holes in the walls, and we've got like boring plain banners.
Well, if Pokemon tax dollars aren't going toward this, then where are they going?
Pokemon tax dollars
Money
are
laundering
going.
schemes?
I don't think that anybody. I can't think of anyone who is in the government in Pokemon who is involved in organized crime. Except for maybe. No, never mind. In this. Excuse me. In this region, the mayor is involved. One of the mayors of one of the towns is the leader of the criminal organization. So yeah.
Oh, worm.
Nice.
Also, I just noticed that these Pokemon are higher level than me. So this is going to be an interesting challenge. Wish me luck, boys.
Alright. Is it trivia time or is it battle time? Or is it both?
I mean, do you want to commentate on my battling skills?
Good job.
Thank
He's
you.
doing the thing.
He's
Beat
doing
up
the
that poor teddy
Pokemon.
I try my best, guys.
It's the Pokemaniest of the Pokemon.
That was not your best work, sir.
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna have to ask you to do better. I'm gonna have to ask you to be better.
That's fair. Alright, I'm going to start the trivia questions. So
Okay.
I can come up with a better comment. So, question 1. How long did it take John Hughes to write the script? Option A, less than a week. B, 2 weeks. C, a month. D, 4 months.
Bueller.
Joseph, I believe you have a answer for me.
I will go with B.
2 weeks. Okay. All right.
That's
How about
probably
you, Mr. Joe?
that's probably correct. So I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to say he got through this entire script in a week.
In a week.
47
So,
days. Yes, he got through it in 47 days precisely.
All right. Well,
7 days and nights, 7 days.
Joe, you were correct because it was less than a week.
Nice. Yeah.
I believe it was actually 6 days.
6
So.
days. Wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So that kind of sounds like to me like he just got kind of went into a trance and made this all at once, and it just all came out all at once.
Yeah, probably. Something like that. But hey, turned out well for him.
It was 47. We have someone calling shenanigans in the chat. They don't believe you.
Next. Probably.
Independent fact checkers will say this claim is false, I'm afraid.
Mostly false.
The one in the comments.
37 Pinocchios. 47 Pinocchios, excuse me.
I'll take 47 Pinocchios. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Which actor stayed up 48 hours to prepare for their role? Was it A, Matthew Broderick for Ferris Bueller, B, Michael Sheen as the boy in the police station, C, Ben Stein as the economics teacher, or D, Jeffrey Jones as Ed Rooney, Dean of Students?
Ooh. Okay, what were the options again? There's Ferris
First, you
Bueller.
have Ferris Bueller, Boy in the Police Station, who's by Michael Sheen,
Charlie?
economics teacher, who's Ben Stein, and then Jeffrey Jones as Ed Rooney, Dean of Students.
Bueller.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with D. A seems
Ed
too
Rooney,
easy.
Dean of Students. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Stoner Drug Boy. Oh no, hold on. We're talking about? Yeah, right. We're talking about Drug Boy. Okay.
Charlie
Yeah.
Sheen.
Yes, I'm gonna go with. That's my answer.
All right.
We're
Well-
both wrong.
Joe, you were right again.
Ha! Whew!
Joseph, I'm
Two
gonna need to ask you to please step it up.
It's a bit part. He's what? I don't
No,
understand.
that's the trick. Yeah, we have a crazy actor playing a bit part. That was the trick.
If we measure the ego of these actors compared to the size of their role, we can see where the true answer lies.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Question 3. The film is 1 hour and 43 minutes long, but how long was the original cut?
Ooh.
A, 2 hours. B, 2 hours and 15 minutes. C, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Or D, 3 hours.
47 minutes.
Stop.
Final answer.
Stop trying to make 47 happen.
Just gotta get 2 hours, 2:15, 2:45, 3 are our options.
Yep.
Bueller.
What you got, Joe?
I'm gonna go with 2:15. I'm gonna say they cut out about half an hour of material.
All right.
I don't want to be wrong this time. I'm going to copy Joe's answer.
2 hours and 15 minutes?
Yes.
All right. Well, you are both wrong. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes.
2 hours and 40. They cut out an hour of material.
Apparently.
I can't believe that, actually. I mean, what is it? It was probably a bunch of city stuff.
Oh
Just
yeah.
them going around doing stuff in the city.
I'm guessing it's scene bloat then, right? It's like it's showing more
That's
stuff.
my
about-
guess, yeah.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
All right,
Definitely.
for our fourth question. How many wardrobe changes does Ferris make before he leaves the house at the beginning of the movie? 8, 9, 10, or 11.
Oh, come on. Okay, all those are like the same number.
Exactly.
Bueller.
What you got, Joe?
I'm gonna say they went for an even 10. Like, they intentionally got to 10 on purpose to be an even number.
Okay. All right.
That's my guess.
I know.
The real answer is 47. Yes, Sir Zarek, we know the answer is actually 47, but we have to go with the options provided.
We gotta follow the rules, just like Ferris, who made 11.
There's a reason Zarek has not been on the podcast. He's not a rule follower. He's a rebel.
Oh. And we're gonna go for 11 because these costume changes. They don't just go to 10. They go to 11.
That's good reasoning. That's good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your reasoning, Joseph.
However,
unfortunately, you actually go for this 9.
Oh,
For an even number.
they disappoint me.
I am angry.
This is upsetting, guys. We have one more. Come on, guys. This should be an easy one. Here we go.
I'm 2 for 4, so
You're 2 for 4.
At this point, I just want to start making more Sonic trivia questions. At least those were easy.
I figure we're professionals by now. I really should up the ante on our questions.
That is a bad assumption to make, sir.
Apparently, I realize I need to go back to the basics, and so I'll remember for next time. But for the last question, what does the Ferrari license plate read? Does it read nervous, scared, worried, or terrified?
This one I actually know. Oh, okay, you go.
It is nervous.
Yeah, it's nervous.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well,
Mine as well.
you are both correct.
Yep.
And with that, Joseph, you got a point. Congrats. And Joe, you got 3 points.
Yes.
I must say, I think you won this time. Well done.
Thank you.
I'll be in my
I'd like
third place spot, biting my bronze. Oh,
I'd like to thank the Academy for letting me be here to accept this honor. I'd like to thank Ferris Bueller's Day Off for being an excellent movie about which I could answer trivia questions. I'd like to answer our gracious host who has asked the questions. I'd like to thank my opponent for being terrible at guessing trivia answers.
I hope you lose this Pokemon fight.